12 hardware founders, designers, and engineers. One question underneath everything they talked about. How do you actually build a career in physical product? Not the advice you read online, what the people on this show actually did. This is the Why Design Being Hired compilation.
When I've had the experience of hiring many, many people in my career, if I have a chance to interview them, they've already given the table stakes. We know that they can design. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come in for us all to interview. What I'm looking for is the chemical stuff. You know, are the lights on?
The most interesting careers on this show did not come from being the most technically capable person in the room. They came from being very clear about what made someone different and then doing that unapologetically.
Part of what he said is just try to be true to yourself and just go for it. Keep going. It's not going to be easy. Everybody has their own path, but just kind of keep moving forward. And it's like when I talk to students, it's like, try to define who you are. What's your process as a designer? And then if you get that story down, that's what people are going to be drawn to, right? Don't try to be like everybody else. Figure out who you are, lean into your origin story, lean into your cultural backgrounds, lean into what makes you different. And that's, what I try to do.
Yeah, any advice I'd give to anyone is just like stick to your strengths. Don't try and be like other designers, because everyone's different and how they approach problems.
I think someone's attitude matters a lot more than their experience for a startup, where we need to be humble, wear a lot of hats, and be open to learning.
I guess to sum up, it wasn't really a choice of, I was never sat there thinking, well, I like doing this, and I like doing this, and I like doing, maybe I should be a designer. It's like, well, there's this thing I do. How do I get people to pay money?
The skills are assumed. What happens in the room itself is where most candidates win or lose something they never quite put their finger on. 3 guests have thought carefully about what that actually is.
I always start with kind of tell me about yourself, because I think if someone doesn't have an ability to articulate their story, their history, where they've come from, firstly, I think it relaxes people a little bit. But also in 5 or 6 sentences, you should be able to give the highlight reel of why you're a good fit.
What I look for is somebody who can come in and represent themselves and verbalize and visualize at the same time in a balance. Why should we hire you? And if they can't, and they're looking at the wall, or they can't articulate, yes, everybody's nervous and we're all scared little bunny rabbits, in those circumstances. But help make somebody comfortable, help them see that they can guide the interview, and that they're among people who want to be their friends, but won't be. Those are the things, those qualities that I look for. Some people would say those are soft qualities. It's the fluffy bunny stuff, but you can't. And I've been disparaged by some for this and arguments with others, but you cannot implement strategy if people don't trust and respect you.
When I started By Innovate, actually, I found that really exposing, because I was quite young when I did it. Yeah. And there used to be guest speakers, and there was only 12 of us in the room, and you'd go around the room and everybody had to introduce themselves. I hated it. I really struggled with it. So now I can see that if I was that age again, I'd be like, no, just nail that bit, and then you feel more comfortable in the room. And you most of the time, if you're at the interview, you have every right to be there. So just remember that you're there.
Nobody on this show waited for the obvious door to open. They found side entrances, traded their time, rebuilt after redundancy, and showed up at things where they had no obvious reason to be. This is how hardware careers get made.
I always find engineering is a good example, because kind of some of the generic terms of engineering that are very kind of precise and useful language that can kind of communicate things very efficiently. I think when you have that with someone, you can get through quite a lot. But then equally, we realized we had different skills and balanced each other out in some ways. So it was kind of totally random. I mean, like all these sort of events, I might just not have gone. I could have just had something else on, or would maybe feeling a bit under the weather or something. And it's kind of weird, these moments where things happen. But I suppose, yeah, but the way I look at that is you getting out there doing things. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'd have met a better co-founder if I'd gone somewhere else. But I would obviously never say that to Ashley. But that's the point. Like, I think the point is to get out there, meet people, talk to people, and stuff will happen. You don't know what it's going to be, and things sometimes happen, sometimes they don't. But getting out there, talking to people makes things happen.
At the weekends, I traded my time with some race teams for them to teach me how to run racing cars, how to build them, what was important. And I traded my time in how to engineer components and design. So we ended up building cars and these kinds of things. And then that was it. Launched my own race car company.
Yeah, well, I joined in 2010. So I hadn't actually got in when I applied. I spent January 2010 building a portfolio, got it in, and then CAD jockeyed for a firm making bits of aircraft around the back of Southend Airport, which again was really interesting. While I got my application together, still had to find, because it's been 2 years of living in London, it's really expensive. So still had to find some funding from the Royal Commission for the Great Exhibition of 1851, who had a scholarship for engineers retraining industrial design at master's level. I mean, they couldn't have been much more specific if they called it the Matthew Eric Batchelor scholarship.
Every guest on this compilation has made at least one career move that looked wrong from the outside, or at least uncertain. Almost all of them say the gut knew before anything else.
Yeah, well, I can actually remember when I told him, because we were going on a trip. We were on a trip to meet some potential investors in the project. So we had a long day ahead of us and started talking about the future. So I thought I've got to, nip it in the bud and tell him as soon as we get in the car. And he said, "Oh well, bet you were looking forward to this long car journey." But it was great. I mean, he was very very conscious of the options that I had on the table, and was very supportive of the decision that I made. Really just felt like the right decision. I think sometimes you just have to go with your gut on these things. I didn't have all the exact answers to know exactly what to expect or what the role was going to be or what the future held. But sometimes, like I said, you just got to go with your gut.
I didn't really want to go back into a space where I'd be like trying to fight for a seat at the table for design. I wanted to be somewhere which really was design led fundamentally, or believed in design. So there was some consultancy avenues like I did explore, but didn't feel right.
That it's okay not to know what the future holds and where the path's going, but as long as you've got a good support network, whether that's kind of personal, professional, or you're feeling well supported, then you don't need to necessarily know exactly what's happening next. You can just go with the flow, and you definitely will find your way.
Hardware is a long game. The people who last in it, who keep going, the bag is still packed and the factory bed is blown up, are clear on why they do it, not just what.
First, if I was to turn my laptop around, I would show you the very same bag that has still the same clothes in it. Anyone that gets to work on the thing that they are passionate about and have been all their lives, you have to be respectful and feel lucky for doing that, right? I think there are many times where I thought, maybe I won't get the opportunity to do this. So now I'm living that. The hardships that come with that, which, look, a lot of family, friends, life, it does suffer. But you're seeing the progress. There is a point in the future where that bag will be unpacked and there'll be some slightly more settled life. It'll be unpacked in a factory on a blow-up bed that I'll be sleeping on, no doubt. Look, I'm just very fortunate to be able to work on something that I'm really passionate about and needs to be done. So no, the bag will remain packed, and I'll keep a smile on my face until it's done.
Do you mind if I ask you that now? What is your why?
I think it probably in the story that I told you last, my why is about how can I use the things I've had the privilege to learn and the experiences I've had the privilege to have to help others who need it more than I do.
I think when you're younger, you believe design has more power than maybe it really does. And or you think singularly that design can change something. What I think I now learn with experiences, and especially in the world we're now moving into, is that if we want to have true impact, we need to understand working with other disciplines. We need to understand legislation. We need to understand government. We need to understand science.
Yeah.
Right? Because those are the challenges we face. When I was younger, I thought design had the power to do it all.
Everyone on this compilation is linked below. Tess Cosad, Bob Schwartz, Dan Salisbury, Felicity Boyce, Dr. Liz McGloughlin, Mark Tapscott, Matt Batchelor, Rob Hallifax, Stephan Clambaneva, Sean Finn. If any of them caught your eye for the right reasons, the full episodes are well worth your time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Why Design. If this episode gave you some new ideas, share it with someone in your team who'd find it useful. And follow the show so you don't miss what's next. And if you're building a product team or looking for your next challenge in design or engineering, that's exactly what we do at Kodu. We help companies hire smarter and faster and help great talent find work that actually fits. I'm Chris Whyte. Connect with me on LinkedIn and let's keep raising the bar for design leadership. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep asking, why design?